Hey guys, today we are going to be looking at the Rock Lords. No size class, no nothing. They're the Rock Lords. They are made by Bandai. They are like a spin-off, you could say, of the GoBots. Like a spin-off subline, I think, something similar to that. Because there was a movie where the GoBots and the Rock Lords fought together or something. I didn't see it. I don't know. So these are the Rock Lords, and just like their name suggests, they are rocks. Yeah, there's not much to them. They are rocks. They are spheres. They are blocks. They're whatever with rock-like detail on them, like so. And obviously, you can tell that these guys, the two that I have here, you can see some fairly visible appendages, but yeah, they are rocks, and what do you expect? They're rocks. It's not like the GoBots or the Transformers, where they're vehicles or spaceships or stuff. They're rocks. They are just shapes that have rock-like detail on them. And just like the GoBots, Bandai or Tonka, I should say, named these guys like what they are. So, like Screwhead or Fightor or Psykill from the GoBots, they were play on words of their alt modes, and the Rock Lords are as well. This guy is Magmar, like Magma. This guy is Stoneheart. Like there's a pterodactyl that's called the Terror Rock. There's another guy, his name is Boulder. There's one called Slimestone, Nugget. The whole lot. It's just one big pun on rocks. Way these guys like move in their rock forms is they roll. They just roll. You can't really roll these guys because they're square. But yeah, these guys, I think there were quite a few produced, at least like 20, at the very least like 10. But yeah, there was like upwards of like 20, 40, whatever. There were a lot of these guys, but they really didn't make it past the 80s. Well, even make it into the 80s. They were only around for like a year. Like 80, these guys are 1986. They probably only made it to 1987. So yeah, and there's no knockoff. Like, I don't know if there's any knockoffs of these. I bet maybe at one point there were, but I don't know of any knockoffs. I don't know of any third party things. I don't know of very much of anything, if anything. So yeah, these guys, they're so like uncommon and obscure that you can get on eBay and buy them for like $20. On most Transformers and GoBots, they're worth easily that, and they have a bit more status because they're more well known. The Rock Lords, they lived and died in the 80s, when the GoBots or Machine Robo actually somewhat lives on today, with like Action Toys making the third party versions of them, and obviously the Transformers, well, they, they still exist today. But these guys really didn't make it out of the 80s. Well, yeah, didn't make it out of the 80s. These guys, but these guys, just like the toys of the other transforming toys of their time, they're very simplistic and are very too they. I don't really know. So yeah, so we'll start off with Magmar. He's just a brown rock, more like just a brown cube with rock-like details on him. So, but to transform him, you just fold down the legs like so, and the legs on mine are really loose, so they'll probably be falling over this entire review. But you extend the arms and they're spring-loaded, so when you move the arm, it's not loose because there's a spring in there, so it takes up the tolerance, so it can't really be loose. Same thing on this side, you just pull it out, and now for the arms, you just extend them like so. And these guys did have weapons, but I got these guys used. They don't have their weapons. Stoneheart had like a sword thing. my camera's not focusing. Stoneheart had like a golden sword, and Magmar had like a gun of some sort. I can't remember what color it is. His arm is not there. So yeah, so it adds a little bit more color and differentiates the two pieces of his arm. Just flip up his head. There. We'll just put him over there. Now Stoneheart, you fold this leg down, fold out this, straighten the legs out, and his legs are loose, 40-year-old toy, basically. Fold out the hands, swing these down, and now you're going to come back here and open up the feet, like so. And now you're going to swing up the head. So Stoneheart might not stand there. I'm not going to move these guys too much. And there you go. So first thing that I thought of when I saw Magmar, if you can see his head, is that he looks very, very similar to the G1 Rodimus Prime toy, with his weird face. Stoneheart's face, it's trying to go for like an organic, like fish-like monster. You can see like the gills and like the ribs of like a fin or something, but he's a rock. It doesn't, because the head is all smooth and it has all these like fish-like details, but the body's all rocky and stuff. So it really doesn't make too much sense to me why they tried to go for sort of like a sea monster, sort like a sea lake monster thing, and yet they didn't add any sort of like gills or anything under there. They just had more rock detail when it's just covered up when he's transformed. But I don't know. So yeah, these guys, they have a little bit of articulation, or at least they beat out quite a few of the GoBots. They beat out a few of the Transformers of the time from '86. Magmar, he has full rotating shoulders. It looks, there's a pin, like a little rivet pin in there, if you can see it, right in there, to indicate that it wants to move, and it seems like it does want to move, but I don't want to force it, because I don't want to break his arm off. But, his arms can at least rotate, and you could like carve a little sword out of like epoxy or like a piece of plastic or even a piece of wood to fit in his hand, because it's very simple. Legs can go forward due to transformation and forward at the knee due to transformation, and I guess the head can move up and down, but that really doesn't count. Stoneheart, on the other hand, does have a lot of articulation. This arm, I don't know why, the ball joint is extremely tight, so it doesn't even go back, goes forward a tiny bit, so I don't want to force it. Nothing at the head. Full 360, can move up due to transformation, move in due to transformation, has a wrist swivel, wrist can move in, leg can go up that high, back all the way, has a knee, and you count that as a toe. So Stoneheart is very, very articulated. You're not going to get very many poses out of him, because that's it. But, yeah, for the time, like, comparing these guys to, like, Springer, Cup, Hot Rod, Rodimus, from the Transformers, and, like, Psykill, Stax, Screwhead, Phytor, Leader 1, all those guys, those are more like 84, 85. I don't know any GoBots from the 86 line, but I'm just saying. But, these guys, definitely at the time, compared to the Transformers, had a lot more articulation. They may be a little bit more lame because they're rocks, basically just generic shapes with rock-like detail on them. They definitely had the more articulation for the toys at the time. Yeah. And I remember hearing about these guys, and I really wanted them because, they're just weird. I like weird things. I like, once again, I like the Firecons, and they're weird. I like these guys, they're weird. And there's like a sort of a cult following, I think, to these guys. They're not really popular, but the people that like them really like them. I think. With like a lot of the like 87 crew, 86, 87 crew from the Transformers, how there's just like a niche zone where people, it's like a cult following for them. So I think that's similar for these guys because, they didn't make it out of the 80s. So if you didn't grow up with them and you don't like collecting them, then you don't know you basically don't know they exist. And if you do know they exist, then they're probably really boring and you've never handled one or something like that. So, uh, yeah, I really like these guys. I got both these guys plus a Bumblebee, like one step changer for like $12 here, like here a couple days ago. So yeah, I really really like these guys. So obviously their joints are a little loose, but and they're they're dumb looking. But that's the thing about the '80s, man, is that toys weren't good. Toys weren't like now. Transforming toys or even toys like GI Joe and stuff. They weren't like they are now, like highly articulated and really show or cartoon, show or comic accurate. They were just toys, man. They were just to be toys. They were there just to be played with. They weren't there just. They had no beef with anyone. They were just there to have fun and for the kids to have fun. So yeah, I bet these guys probably retailed the same as a GoBot. So like $3, $4 back in the day. Uh, so yeah, that's really all I have to say about these guys because there's not too much to them. They're just boxes that transform into rock men. So there isn't really too much to them. So till next time, see ya.